Where do you see yourself in 5 years? We're engaged! Hey guys, welcome to Tea Time, Engagement and Wedding Edition. If you don't follow me on Instagram, this will probably be a surprise. I posted a photo on there a few days ago announcing the engagement, but yes, Robbert and I are getting married and I am so excited, and I am really excited that I get to share this with you now. I am having champagne truffle tea today. I thought that would be fitting for the occasion. Yes, oh guys, I'm getting married. Can you believe it? I'm gonna tell you all about it today, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything, so I asked you guys on Instagram to send me any questions or anything that you wanted me to talk about, and I have been able to narrow it down into a couple of categories because it was mostly the same type of question that came in. I'm just slowly gonna go through that, and by the end of this video you should have a pretty complete picture of, you know, what happened, what's going on, what's going to happen in the future. So I guess we'll just get started straight away, and the first topic, of course, is the engagement itself, and so many of you guys want to know how it happened. 2 weeks ago there was a heat wave in the Netherlands, presumably the last one of the year, and the temperatures were really nice, and we wanted to, you know, take the opportunity and enjoy the nice weather. So we planned a little hike over in the east of the Netherlands, and we had planned to do a little picnic. So we got a bunch of snacks and things, packed everything up, got into the car and left that Sunday. After having walked for a little while, we sat down to do the picnic and we unpacked and everything. And yeah, that's when he got down on one knee, pulled out a ring and asked the question. And of course I said yes. So yeah, that is kind of how we got engaged. Turned out he had an accomplice because he suddenly pulled out all of these home-baked goods by my best friend, who bakes just the most incredible stuff. And so we enjoyed that, and there was champagne and all this stuff I had no idea he had packed. So we enjoyed all of that, and then we continued our walk. And then as we were heading home, it turned out we weren't heading home at all, but we pulled into this beautiful hotel. Yeah, there was a surprise hotel stay. And then Robert told me we were going to go for a dinner, but I was obviously dressed for a nature hike because I had no idea. We got to the hotel room and he surprised me with a dress, beautiful dress. It's this one that I'm wearing right here. It is one of the Son de Floor wedding dresses, which are just absolutely gorgeous. Just to get ahead of any confusion, this isn't gonna be my wedding dress, but it is from their bridal collection, and it's just so gorgeous with the embroidery and everything. So he pulled that out of his bag. I got dressed, put on the dress. He had also packed a bunch of my makeup and like hair tools and stuff, so I was able to just completely, you know, get ready for a dinner. He changed into fancy clothing as well, and we got ready. And then when we went down to the car to head over to the dinner, my parents were suddenly there, and then his parents pulled up in their car and we had a surprise dinner with our families, and it was so lovely. I'm so happy that they were there. I had no idea any of this was going on. So that is how it happened. Lots of people wanted to know whether I was expecting it or suspecting anything, whether I knew it was going to happen, and whether we had discussed marriage. So it wasn't a complete surprise. We had talked about getting married. In fact, we have had a date set for a while now. For about 1.5 years, I think. We knew that we wanted to get married around that date, or on that date. Actually, it's a pretty special date. And I did tell Robert how much time I would like to have to prepare for the wedding. So, you know, to do the planning and everything. So I did roughly know when it was kind of going to happen, possibly. But I had no idea when or what or how it was going to happen, so I was surprised. There were a couple of little hints that I picked up on in regards to this specific day. Probably the biggest one was when he suggested that we would go on this walk, and I asked if I should invite over a couple of friends, and he was like, no, let's just go the two of us. That was kind of... he normally wouldn't have done that. The morning of, this is actually quite a funny story, I completely freaked out because I had lost my eyelash curler and mascara. Not that that is such a huge deal, but I couldn't find them, and I had no memory whatsoever of having misplaced them or, packed them away or anything. And that is kind of what freaked me out, just things disappearing without me having any knowledge of it at all. So that morning before we were going to leave, I just wanted to, do something with my eyelashes really quickly, and I couldn't find those things, and I was just like, how do these things just disappear? And Robert was trying to tell me, don't worry, it's not important, we'll just look for them when we come back. Obviously he had packed them, they were in the back of the car. In hindsight, that is something that could have, given something away, but this didn't cross my mind for 1 second. I just thought I was losing it. Someone asks whether I would have proposed if Robert hadn't, and the answer is no. I'm definitely one of those people who have dreamt about the dream wedding since they were a child, and him proposing to me is definitely part of that. When it comes to weddings, I do prefer things a bit more traditional. How did your family react? Were they surprised or relieved that he finally asked? His family were quite surprised. My family were like, yes. But I wouldn't say they were relieved. They were just happy for us. Okay, let's talk about the ring. The ring Robert got me is super, super beautiful. I absolutely love it, and it is just perfect. It's exactly what I was hoping for. It is really nice and dainty and minimal and simple and hopefully pretty timeless. That is kind of what I wanted. I wanted a ring that would age well. And I am so, so, so glad that he picked this design, which does answer the question. Yes, he did pick it out. I do know he consulted my best friend, who was an accomplice in all of this, and I did discuss this in length with her, just ring styles that I like and things like that, so she knew that I wanted something very small and dainty and minimal. He picked out this one. A few people wanted to know what material it is, so the ring is gold and lab-grown diamond. If there was to be a diamond, I really wanted a lab-grown one, because that is, guaranteed slave labor free and also just better for the environment and a little bit less expensive. Because I am definitely not a fan of super expensive jewelry. That's just not my thing. And then quite a few people ask whether the ring is vintage. No, it's not vintage. Robert did consider vintage rings, but then in the end he decided to go for one that he was certain I would love, and that turned out to be this one, and I'm very, very, very happy with it. All right. The wedding itself. When will you get married? So here's the thing. This is why we have known for a while. We plan to get married on our 10th anniversary. So we have been together for 9 years now, and on the day of our 10th anniversary is when we will get married. And that will be in spring of next year. Will the wedding be abroad? We did consider a destination wedding, but with the COVID and everything, that is absolutely not something that's realistic at the moment. So that idea sadly went out the window, but we weren't sure we wanted to go down that route anyway, so we're not very sad. We're gonna do it in the Netherlands. Do you have a theme for the wedding? So we are going to be having a forest wedding. We're gonna get married in the woods. I'm really, really excited about that. It's hard to kind of put the theme into words. Well, I have a mood board. I'm gonna put that up on my blog sometimes in the upcoming couple of days, so you can get a bit of an idea for the feeling that we're going for. But obviously it needs to go with the whole kind of woodland theme, and then I want to have lots of wildflowers and a bit of kind of vintage vibes, but more like vintage inspired vibes, a bit eclectic rather than, a strict time period or something like that. We want it to be very relaxed, kind of laid back, and yeah, lots of wildflowers, green and white, burlap, that type of stuff. Lots of people wanted to know whether it will be vintage themed. There will definitely be vintage elements and kind of antique elements, but in a very eclectic way, as I mentioned. Nothing historically accurate. Will the wedding be big or small? So we are going for a smaller to medium-sized wedding. At the moment, we're thinking around 50, 60 guests. We definitely wanted to keep it between just, the family that we're close with and our friends. If everything goes as planned, of course, we can't really say what will happen at this point, but if all goes to plan, then it'll just be the one location in the woods, and we will have the ceremony and then reception and then dinner and a party all in that place. Do you want to plan a sustainable wedding? Well, I definitely want to make sure that it is not unnecessarily wasteful. That is pretty important to me, but I think we are on the right path when it comes to that anyway, because we are working with a company that specializes in forest weddings. They do all the decorations and everything, and the tables, and they just make sure everything is there, the furniture, the backdrops, everything, flowers, and obviously they reuse the decorations for, you know, multiple weddings. We made sure the caterer doesn't use single-use plastic for the snacks and food and everything. So in that regard, it is, I guess, a bit more sustainable than your typical wedding, but it's not like super hardcore zero waste or anything like that. Will the wedding be in a church or will you have a religious ceremony? No, we're gonna have a secular wedding. Neither Robbert or I are part of any organized religion, so that is not gonna be part of our wedding. Okay, this is a question that I got a lot, which was, will you vlog the wedding? Probably not, guys. I just feel like a wedding is one of the most intimate and private days of your life, and it just doesn't feel right to me to put that out on the internet for literally everybody to see. We don't have a videographer as of yet. I do think I would like to ask one or a few of the guests to film bits of the wedding, just, you know, on little handheld cameras. As of now, I don't really think I will share any of that on YouTube. I will definitely share photos, and I will share just, you know, a story and everything on the blog, and I might do a kind of video where I talk about the wedding and what it was like. But as of now, I don't think I will share a vlog of the wedding. I also don't want to have to worry about that during the wedding, if you get what I mean. There were a couple of questions about, obviously, COVID-19 and how we are kind of preparing and dealing with that. So there are a couple of reasons why we are hoping, fingers crossed, that the wedding can happen as we have planned it. It is outdoors completely from beginning to end, so we have a lot of room, obviously, for social distancing. We only have around 50 guests, again, as I mentioned, and we're having it in the spring. So we are hoping that by the time that comes around, we will be able to have the wedding as we had planned. We do have a short list, a smaller guest list of people that we really want to be present there. So if the maximum guest number is under 50, but can accommodate all of those people, then we're gonna have the wedding. And if we can't have the wedding, we will still get married on the date. So we will have like just a civil kind of legal marriage, and then we will have the whole party and everything at a later time, but we're really hoping that it can happen as we planned it. Will the wedding food be vegan? And if yes, where will you get a vegan cake? So yes, the food will be vegan at our wedding. Our caterer has made a vegan menu, which we are really excited about. It sounds amazing and I can't wait to try it. And I'm very happy about that because I wasn't really expecting that would be possible going into this, but they suggested it, so I was just like, yes, yes please. And as for the cake, I talked about my best friend who makes amazing cakes and pastries, and just everything she makes is incredible, and she so very kindly offered to make our wedding cake. I don't know if you guys remember this birthday cake, but oh, she just makes the most incredible stuff. And honestly, if I could find like a company or a bakery or something to make a vegan cake, I am pretty convinced it would not be better. It would be worse than what she can make. So yes, I am super excited about that. Okay, last wedding question. What flowers do you want at the wedding? So yes, wildflowers. I love wildflowers. I want it to be super kind of nature-ish looking. Luckily in spring, wildflowers should be available. I love baby's breath and kind of just the small delicate flowers, but also just herbs like, you know, lavender, but mostly just a huge variety, lots of different types of flowers combined. I absolutely love that, and nothing exotic. I think that's mostly what I'm going for. Okay, let's talk about the dress. The wedding dress. Oh, I am super excited about this, and I know you guys are as well, just from the sheer amount of questions that came in about the dress. Question number 1, will you make it? Yes, I will try. So obviously a wedding gown is much more than all of the things I have done so far, but I definitely want to try and make it. I have good hopes that I will succeed. I will film the process of making the dress. I will upload that after the wedding, of course, because I don't want to, you know, show everyone the dress yet. But yes, I definitely have every intention of making it. I do kind of have an idea of what I want the dress to look like. I have a Pinterest inspiration board where I have all the little elements that I want to be in the dress. I'm gonna try and make it. And I need to get started pretty soon because I do want to give myself enough time to realize that it's not gonna happen and then to get an actual dress. Because I know that might happen. I might get so frustrated and just desperate and realize I don't want to make my dress anymore, and there still needs to be enough time for me to buy a dress. So if that were to happen and I were to get a dress, then I definitely want to get a vintage or antique dress, and I already know some sources that sell some beautiful ones, so that is kind of my backup plan, but I definitely want to try and make my own dress. Will you go traditional white, or can we expect something quirky? No, I'm definitely gonna go traditional. The dress will be white or off-white or ivory, just the white-like shade. That is definitely something that is pretty important to me. Lots of people wanted to know what style of wedding dress I was gonna go for, and will it be vintage or vintage style. So I am gonna go for a modern dress. I want it to be more kind of fairy tale fantasy-like than modern, I guess. I just don't want it to be, let's put it that way, I don't want it to be glamorous. I don't want a glamour dress. So I don't want any of those kind of shiny materials or like sparkles or anything strapless or that has to be kind of held up with a corset or stuff like that. I want to go for this much more kind of relaxed, laid back, more rustic vibe, I guess. I want to go for soft, flowy materials, soft lace, lots of transparent layers, and I want to do sleeves, guys. I know this might be controversial, but I love, love, love wedding dresses with beautiful sleeves, and I definitely want to do sleeves. And then I want to have a big skirt with a train, but I don't want it to be poofy. I want it to be just, more like coming out into a wider shape, more like a circle skirt, if that makes sense. And I have, the idea is fully formed in my head and it's gonna be so beautiful. I have been talking for forever, so a couple more questions, kind of more general questions to finish this off. So, will you have engagement and bachelor and bachelorette parties? We're not having an engagement party. COVID measures have just been raised up again in the Netherlands. We are in the second wave, apparently, officially now. So no, definitely no parties at this moment. And that's okay, because we weren't really planning to do an engagement party anyway. But as far as bachelor and bachelorette parties go, that isn't really up to us, because, our friends are gonna organize those. But I do think we will have them. I know that my friends and I have been talking about our bachelorette parties since university, so I do think I will have one. What did you think as a kid about getting married? How did you imagine your wedding? Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm definitely one of those girls who always dreamed about, the perfect fairy tale wedding, and I wanted a princess wedding. That was always what I wanted. Huge poofy dress, luxury everywhere, like crystal glass, sparkly things, lots and lots of people. So that has definitely changed a little bit. I still want a wedding, with everything. So I want to have all the elements that are important in a wedding, but I no longer want it to be big, and I definitely don't want it to be glamorous. In that regard, my wishes have changed a little bit from when I was 6. Yeah, honestly, I like this kind of more relaxed woodland wedding much more, and it is so much more. What is your and your fiance's age? We are both 27 years old. How do you deal with anxiety and social anxiety and getting married? For me personally, this is not an issue. We did agree that we were only going to invite people that we actually wanted to be there, which means that it's just going to be an amazing group of people, all people we love and that we really enjoy being around. In that sense, for me, there isn't really any reason to be anxious. I'm also not really worried about the wedding not being perfect, because we're not planning it to be super posh and perfect, and kind of the perfectness won't really matter in this setting that we want to make it in, because it's gonna be more laid back and relaxed. So yeah, I'm actually not anxious about it at all. I'm just really, really, really excited. Are you scared of this new chapter? Not at all. I'm just really excited. I also feel like not that much will change after we get married, because we have been together for 10 years by then. We've already lived together for 3-4 years, relationship wise and everything, just living situation and stuff. Not that much is gonna change after we get married. I'm just really excited to have the wedding and to be married, of course, and then to start our marriage, but I don't think it'll actually be that different from our relationship now. Last question. Will you change your last name, or will he or will you hyphenate? I'm not 100% sure yet, but I will probably take his last name. My last name is foreign in the Netherlands. It is pretty long and it is hard for people to spell and to pronounce and to remember, and his name is very simple, a pretty standard Dutch name, so I do think I will take his last name. Also, that is just kind of what I've always expected to do, to take my husband's name at some point. I wouldn't do it for just that reason. I'm definitely open to other options, but yeah, I think it'll be easier if I just take his last name. Plus, I considered hyphenating for a while, but it doesn't sound good. Like our two names, I don't really, I'm not a huge fan of the combination of names from two completely different languages. That's just a personal preference thing. I wasn't a fan of that, plus that doesn't make anything easier, it just makes it more complicated. But it does feel a little bit weird to lose my last name, but then I found out that you never actually do lose your maiden name in the Netherlands. In fact, you can't change the name on your passport at all when you get married. So I will be legally able and allowed to use his last name and to just kind of use that name in daily life. But on my passport, I will still have my maiden name on that. I'm not actually losing my maiden name no matter what I do. So I think with that in mind, I will just start using his last name for convenience reasons. Alrighty guys, that is the last question. My tea is completely gone. I'm gonna get myself a refill. Since I know not everybody enjoys wedding content and I don't want my channel to be completely taken over by something that is pretty unrelated to what I normally do, I will keep the majority of the wedding content over on my blog, loepsie.com. I will share a bunch, of what's going on over there. And on Instagram, of course, there'll be some wedding stuff on there as well. I do want to do a couple more videos on this channel. I will be doing my own hair and makeup. I'm pretty sure about that. So I will probably do a video on how I do that. And then, of course, the wedding dress video is going to be on this channel as well. Yeah, definitely be sure to follow my blog, loepsie.com, if you are interested in more wedding stuff. I guess that's it for this video, guys. So I really hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see the wedding dress and all the other stuff that I do. And I will see you very soon in the next video.